Well, a worrying new trend online sees children as young as 12 years old posting nasty anonymous messages about themselves. A study has shown that 1 in 20 American teenagers have digitally self-harmed, and it's like its physical counterpart. The behavior is often a cry for help. Researchers say there may be a link between digital self-harm and suicidal thoughts, and we are joined this morning by parenting specialist. He's also the author of several best-selling parenting books, including Father to Son and Father to Daughter. We are happy to have with us Harry Harrison Jr. And Harry, thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. This is like 180 degrees polar opposite of kind of what we've all been seeing over the past couple of years with cyberbullying.
It is. First, thanks for having me on. It's a real pleasure. So this thing is like, you always think teenagers cannot get weirder.
Yeah, right. No, they can. They prove it every time, don't they?
That's like a challenge that, we can get a lot weirder. So, yeah, this digital self-harm is, frankly, scientists really don't understand. Sociologists and psychiatrists are not really sure what's going on, except that, like you said, there's a percentage of kids in this country that have done digitally self-harm. Mm-hmm. And what that basically means is they have sent, quote, anonymous messages to their Facebook or Twitter or Instagram that say, if you don't kill yourself, I will. You're mm-hmm. too ugly to be in school. You're too ugly to be alive. And all these horrible things that we probably have talked about, not realizing the kids were sending it themselves.
Right. And I thought what was interesting, it says young men were significantly more likely to have digitally self-harm, with 7.1% reporting that had done to compared to 5.3% of young women. Do we have any idea why?
I'm not sure about that figure, because I've seen almost the exact opposite in other research that I've been doing.
I was going to say, a lot of times we see these cyberbullying, it oftentimes involves girls more than it does boys, it seems like. Mm-hmm. At least the ones we hear about.
Right. So I'm not so sure boys are doing it more than girls. I think the more I've read, the more I've just decided it's probably about 50% of each.
Okay.
And these kids, are looking for something. It's either you start sending these messages to yourself and they're horrible and horrific, but then it's an opportunity for your friends to rally around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's an opportunity to kind of become the focus of your group, and everybody rallies around you and says, "Oh man, who's doing this? This is terrible." Or it's a way for these kids to control the narrative. Maybe there is some bullying going on in the hallways, mm-hmm. that kind of thing.
Well, it seems like this is all just self-injurious behavior for the most part.
Oh, there's nothing positive about it. And yes, it can be. It can lead to suicide, mm-hmm. in a very rare number of cases. But what I've been able to tell, and what it seems to me, after talking to people, I've talked to my wife a lot, who's a teacher who sees everything. Mm-hmm. She said that it's not really a prevalent thing right now.
Right, yeah, I would imagine it's not. I mean, we know that cyberbullying is pretty prevalent all across the country.
Yeah.
But this
lining up to say these terrible things about yourself publicly.
Yeah.
So let's take it to the extreme. What kind of child or teen would do this? Well, someone that's obviously depressed. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's an event that's happened,
right,
in school or in their life. Maybe there's been a death, maybe a breakup of a family, or her own personal breakup with her friend or boyfriend or girlfriend. So you've had some kind of quasi-traumatic event, and so you start, and maybe. And this is not a guarantee, but maybe this teen is receiving some messages. But that doesn't have to be so. They could just make this whole thing up online. But is it a cry for help? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's so weird that, it could be a cry for help, or it could be a cry for attention.
Yeah, either one is a valid possibility. Harry, thank you so much for your time this morning. We're running a little bit short on time here. We certainly appreciate it, and we look forward to having you back on the show soon.
You bet. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
You got
Bye-bye.
it.
Right now, though, kind of a worrying new online trend. We've heard a lot about cyberbullying, and schools, school districts, police departments, and others trying to curtail what's called cyberbullying, where a kid starts receiving vicious Instagrams, Facebook postings, etc. Well, the worrying new trend online is actually seeing kids as young as 12 posting anonymous messages about themselves. They're cyberbullying themselves. A new study has shown that 1 in 20 American teenagers have digitally self-harmed themselves. I know, it sounds weird. The Florida researchers quizzed about 6,000 middle and high school kids between 12 and 17 for the study. Young men, they found out, were significantly more likely to have digitally, quote-unquote, self-harmed, and 7.1% reported having done it compared to 5.3% of young women. To talk a little bit about it this morning, he is a parenting specialist. He's the author of a number of best-selling parenting books, including Father to Son and Father to Daughter. Harry H. Harrison Jr. joins us on the Wake Up Call. Hi, Harry. Thanks for being with us. We loved having you on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So, I mean, is this just kids trying to get other kids to feel sorry for them? It's like, oh, look, somebody's hurting me. And they're posting the stuff themselves just to get, some sort of attention or pity, sympathy.
Well, just when you think teenagers can't get any stranger, they start bullying themselves anonymously online on Facebook.
Now,
and then reading it.
Rob over here doesn't laugh because his child is not a teenager yet, having gone through the teenage phase. I totally get what you meant by that. Go ahead. Sorry. So, this is all kind of new. So there's different reports. Some people say it's up to 10% of all college freshmen have self-harmed themselves digitally. And I don't think it's necessarily more boys than girls that are doing it. I think more boys admit it than girls, because girls do more cutting and slashing than boys do. But whatever, it is a very strange thing that you would type, you are a loser, you should die, I'm going to kill you if you don't, nobody likes you, everybody hates you. Put that on your Facebook, quote, anonymously, quote, and now all your friends see it, and they go, oh my God, we need to rally around Jimmy. Or Debbie, she's getting crucified on social media. So you do have that aspect, like you mentioned. I don't know if you really thought that was true, but that's really true. Mm-hmm. That they do it to get that friendship hug, to feel like they're the center of the universe again. Okay, but are we making a false equivalency, though? I mean, you mentioned that girls are more likely to cut themselves than guys are, and we're calling this quote-unquote self-harm. I mean, is it really self-harm, or more, I just want people to notice me and feel sorry for me and give me the sympathy hug, like you said? I mean, is it really harm?
That's a great question. Self-harm is kind of makes no sense when you look at it. I mean, it's like, is it harmful for you to write, I'm a loser, and post it on Facebook? Well, I guess a shrink would say so. We all have those voices that as we get older, hopefully we move those to the side and don't listen to them anymore. But this method, you hear those voices and you type them out and you put them in Facebook, and they'll last forever. So you can just open your Facebook account and read, you are a loser. I think that certainly calling attention to oneself is one motivation. Another thing may be, there may be turmoil at home. There may be a broken romance at home, within their lives. It may be they're just clinically depressed, and they need to go see a shrink. It doesn't appear to be like as dangerous as cutting yourself. You're not going to hit a vein or anything like that. But we know of at least 2 girls who killed themselves after 6 months to a year of posting this stuff about themselves online. So as a parent, once again, it comes back to parenting. Do you know what your kids are doing online? Do you know what they're posting on Facebook? Do you know who they're following? Do you have any idea what's going on with a 13-year-old? And most parents don't. And that's it. All always comes back to parenting. If you have put a gateway to the world in the hands of a 12, 13, 14-year-old, you monitor everything else, but you don't care where they go or who they see or what they see or who they talk to with their phone, then you're failing the kids. And this kind of stuff can happen. If you don't instantly know, hey, what's being posted on my son's account, and you go do some research and find out, you're doing this? Okay, we need to have a talk. What's the deal here? You're failing the kid. And unfortunately, a lot of parents today are so disconnected from their kids that they think the smartphone will solve all those bridges. And they're, like, I can't believe my son's doing this. I can't believe she looked at this. I can't believe she met this stranger who's 40 years old. Well, you can't believe it because you weren't monitoring your kids.
All right. You anecdotally mentioned 2 young ladies who killed themselves after a year of, self-bullying, self-cyberbullying. I mean, we know of 2, but, if 1 out of 20 teenagers are actually doing this, I mean, that's a huge number of kids, and 2 out of that huge number, I mean, and I'm not trying to make excuses for it or anything else. I mean, statistically, that is a really low number.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a national trend to self-worry about. I really don't.
Right.
I don't think this is like, I think we've talked about the blue whale or other weird teenage things that are much more popular than this.
Yeah.
Just so maybe kids have written something weird about themselves and posted it. I don't know of it. Well, I may know of 1 or 2 that might, but I'm like you. I don't think this is a national thing. But I think that regardless, as a parent, you should know what your kids are doing.
All right. But you mentioned, that they're trying to call attention to themselves. I mean, teenagers do that in so many different ways, whether it's, wearing tight, skinny jeans and dressing like a goth or an emo or, I mean, really, what is that other than look at me? Hello, right. Look at me.
And then getting mad. What you got something against my green hair?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
I think it's a teenage thing. I certainly don't see an adult doing this, but, teenagers today are just, they're different from when we were teens. That's just the bottom line. And the Internet has certainly helped them be stranger. But I just don't see a normal person or even just a mildly upset person typing, "You are a loser, you should kill yourself," and posting that anonymously on your Facebook page. That's a mystery to me.
All right.
Harry, that's a mystery to me.
All right. Harry, thanks for joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning.
Hey, good being here.
It was good having you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Well, he is Harry Harrison. He is a parenting specialist. Always good to get with parenting specialists. How are you, Harry?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Fearlessparenting.com. Fearlessparenting.com for Harry. So, kids are posting something bad about themselves online? I don't get that.
Yeah, well, it's, just when you think teenagers can't get any stranger, they get stranger. So what we have here is are some cases of kids. Curiously, more kids than you could really imagine. Like 10% of college freshmen have done this. What's called digital self-harm. They will bully themselves anonymously online.
What? Harry, wait a minute. You just said they will bully themselves online.
Yes. Anonymously.
Yeah, okay.
So someone opens up their Facebook page, and here's like, "You should die. I hate you. Nobody likes you. You should kill yourself." And then publicly they'll respond. Okay, so why don't you kill yourself? Anyway, so their friends all see these discussions and rally around this child who apparently is getting bullied.
Well, it's a weird way to get attention then.
A very strange way. There was a suicide 2 years ago in England, a girl named Hannah,
and she lived in, I can't pronounce the name of the town, but it upset the whole country because she was cyberbullied into suicide. And the authorities were checking into where all these messages came from. They came from her computer.
Oh. So it's a self-inflicted, except now digital. And then the danger there, Harry, is if the friends don't rally around, then they say, "See,
Right.
it doesn't matter." That is really a amazingly sad thing.
Oh.
Oh,
Either the friends will rally, which probably produces even more, make them hate, post these terrible messages, more of them, or they won't rally. But so they do it sometimes to get their friends going. Sometimes they're just so depressed. Everybody has that voice in their head, unless they're just like super, ethereal, that tells them things you wouldn't tell a friend. But most of us have learned to put that aside.
Right.
But in this case, these kids are typing that voice out and posting it to Facebook so they can see it every day, every morning, every hour they look into Facebook.
all right.
And I think it's a way of controlling the narrative also. If they suspect something is being said about it, they just suspect it, they can post this and control what, they can post the very worst thing anybody could say, and that now they've done it. Not that they're controlling the narrative in their brain, that it can't get any worse than this.
Parenting expert Harry Harrison's in Dallas, fearlessparenting.com. Fill in the blank, Harry. When it comes to social media, parents should
pay attention. They should know what the sites their kids are on. They should know what's being posted. They should know who they're following. I mean, it's amazing. We'll guard a kid against driving until he's 16 or 17. We're very careful about who our daughters date, so on, but yet we'll turn a smartphone over to a 13-year-old and let them just go around the world with it and talk to anybody or meet anybody or post anything. And this is where the danger lays, is you're putting this tool into an immature brain where anything can happen. I mean, we wouldn't let our daughters go up to a stranger on the street and start talking to them about deep personal things. That's what we're doing on the Internet.
Diane makes fun of me because I said ban smartphones till you're 16. Why is that so
Absolutely.
crazy? Why is that? I'm serious.
Absolutely.
I'm serious.
That genie is out.
So am I. You and I agree totally on this.
No, but she says the genie's out of the bottle. No, it's not. You just make a law and say you can't drive till you're 16 and you can't have a smartphone till you're 16.
Totally.
They're banned because
Right.
you're not mature enough, old enough, and it's too dangerous. Listen,
but don't go.
How
You
many-
can't go crazy on it.
how many bad things you want to have happen? There are plenty of I met this person online stories when you're 14.
the catfishing.
They're not old enough to have the tool. You can't have a
Exactly.
smartphone. Thank you, Harry. I'll expect your yard sign and support when I do run for president. We
I
appreciate-
will. You will get my yard sign.
Oh yeah. Just to wind me up and get me going here. It is really, when you just said parents should pay attention, I would put the number at 5%. 5%. I mean,
Yeah.
95% have no idea who they're following, have no idea what they're looking at, have no idea.
Yeah, they let the smartphone replace the TV of keeping their kids company, and oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the dangers of that are
No.
just. I mean, we read about them every day, yet we continue to put these
No.
smartphones into kids' hands who are not equipped emotionally or maturity-wise to handle it.
Listen, I understand, and it's different now that my kids are a little older, because going through that where all your friends have it, you can still have a phone, you can still text, but you can't. You can call and text on a regular old phone, but the smartphone gets you onto all the social media sites and the internet all the time. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of peril out there, and unless you're over their shoulder, which you're not, it's just dangerous. It is really dangerous.
I agree. Someone asked me, well, how old do you think you should monitor your kids' smartphone, social media? I said, well, do you monitor how far they drive the car?
Yeah.
Do you monitor how they drive?
Yeah. No, you're telling yeah.
At least 16. At
Right,
least
right.
16.
All right, Harry, people can find you, fearlessparenting.com, fearlessparenting.com.
There's a new study that came out of FAU, and they found that so much of the cyberbullying that we're talking about these days that might have you nervous, has a lot of parents nervous, a lot of it is actually coming from, well, the kids themselves. An alarming number of kids that were actually posting stuff damaging to themselves. On this new online trend showing kids as young as 12 posting anonymous messages about themselves in what would appear to be a desperate call for help about something. And here to talk more about this, a parenting specialist, including the author of books Father to Son and Father to Daughter, Harry Harrison Jr. Thank you for taking the time with us, Harry. So, we know how prevalent cyberbullying is, how concerning it is. I think it's a new revelation. Okay. We do have them ready to go. We know, Harry, how devastating this has been to so many different families, how many parents are really concerned. I think it was new information to us that so many teenagers are apparently doing this to themselves. What are your thoughts upon, coming across this new research?
Well, this is rather amazing. If you remember 2 years ago, there was a girl named Hannah Davis, I think, in England, who committed suicide over all the cyberbullying she was undergoing. Her father was very upset about it and everything. Well, it turns out she was sending it to herself. So she committed suicide over the text mail, over the Facebook posting she was posting herself. And now there's research that shows about 10% of college freshmen have cyberbullied themselves.
Wow.
I know. So this, and the research was saying that more young men are doing it than young women, which is preposterous. What they said was young men reported it than women. But women are the ones that cut themselves and slash themselves and take pills and everything. So, if anything, it's even. But still, 10% of the country, 10% of college freshmen. It's hard to believe. It's hard to fathom.
You bring up an important point here, Harry, in that this is just what they were able to uncover, people that were willing to admit to it. So the numbers could be even higher. And, if somebody is doing this type of activity, it's obviously looking for some type of attention. I would imagine that this would be endemic of other behavior that would be disconcerting, to say the least.
It's almost identical. Generally speaking, when you cut your wrist, you're looking for attention, unless you really dig deep into the vein. And this is they've talked to kids who have done this, and it's either they either want to be a martyr in front of their friends. So, oh my God, Harry's getting all these terrible textbook posts. We need to rally around him and post how great a guy he is. So, yes, that happens. Or a young teen, an older teen or young teen really, has really true depression, and she looks herself in the mirror and she says, "You're horrible," and not just the mirror, but she goes to the computer and posts it on Facebook. "You're horrible. You're terrible. Nobody likes you," and so she can look at that every day or every moment she checks her Facebook posting. So most of us learn to tune that voice out, but if you're going to capture that voice and put it down on paper where it lists forever. Put it in digital form or lasts forever, then that's what you're doing.
What's something that a parent could do?
There might actually be...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, the third might actually be a crisis in this kid's life. A parent may have died or a relationship may have ended. She may have failed a test, not gotten accepted in college. And so this is how he or she copes with failure and disappointment, is post horrific things about themselves.
That really is, it's alarming, but it makes sense the way you illustrated that example as to how it would happen and why they might engage in that specific type of activity, given the proclivities of those that are suffering various forms of depression at a young age. And, we used to just call it a teenage crisis, but these days that seems to take on a different form, and often it can end up in far more negative outcomes, I think in part because of society and the pervasiveness of things like social media and constantly having it in your face, even if it's something that perhaps you're bringing about. What is something that a parent could do, number one, to tell if their kids are perhaps cyberbullying themselves, and then secondarily to deal with this in a way that doesn't lead to greater problems?
Well, I think the first thing a parent needs to do before this starts happening is be a parent. They need to monitor the kids' social activities. They need to monitor
I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't put a 13-year-old in the hands of a 13-year-old girl a smartphone, because you watch her every second of the day, what movies she's watched, who she's with, but you turn over a smartphone to her where anybody can talk to her, anybody can show her anything, she can post anything. So to me, that's just ridiculous. She needs a phone to call and text and come home, but something that opens up the entire world of strangers to her, I just don't think she needs at 13. But okay, but if you've done that, you should monitor their activity. You should know what social media activity they're on. You should know what they're posting. You should know what their friends are posting. You should know what's happening on that Facebook account. And if you start seeing that she's being cyberbullied, you need to immediately start checking out. So is this coming from a stranger or from a friend, or is this coming from her? And most parents do not want to think about that their child is posting this. They can't even comprehend it. But you need to learn that. You need to learn that.
I think you just gave us a lot to think about. And the clock's going to get us. We're going to have to leave it there. But I appreciate the information, your expertise, and advice as well. And again, parenting specialist and the author of From Father to Son and Father to Daughter, Harry Harrison.